Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, my way too early Houston Texans 2024 record prediction, basically based on my vibes right now. That's all this is. It's a gut feeling, how I'm feeling about each of these games. Obviously, we're months out, so a lot of things can change from now to the start of the season, but we're strictly going based off vibes right now. And I'm telling you right now, Trick, don't kill my vibe. Trick, do not kill my vibe. Go down and like the video if you think the Texans are going to live up to all the lofty expectations this season. I know there's some haters out there saying, you know, the Texans are so hyped right now. It's bound to fail. It's bound to be a Texans disappointment in 2024. Not so fast, sweetheart. I think the Texans are going to live up to those expectations and maybe even exceed those expectations. So if you didn't see our video yesterday, though, this is the Texans 2024 schedule for next season. We'll just roll through all the games real quick if you didn't see it. A lot of primetime games, as you see with the parentheses and the annotations right there. But I'm going to be going game by game, giving you my schedule or my record prediction for the Houston Texans. Starting off week 1 at Indianapolis against the Colts. First time we're going to be seeing a full game, hopefully, of Anthony Richardson versus C.J. Stroud. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be the best game of week 1. Give me the Texans, though. 38-35, H-Town rolling into Indy, planting their flag in the middle of Lucas Oil and proving to them why the Texans were the AFC South champs last year and why they're more than likely going to be the AFC South champions this year as well. Give me the dub for the Texans in week 1. Week 2, first primetime game of many for the Houston Texans, going up against the #1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, on Sunday Night Football. This screams come down to earth game. I think Caleb Williams is going to do really well in week 1. Week 2, this Texans defense, as DeMeco Ryans likes to say, they are going to swarm Caleb Williams. Give me the Texans 24-13 when the Texans home opener, Sunday Night Football. All the eyes are going to be on the Texans. All the lights are going to be on H-Town, and I think the Texans are going to live up to those expectations in the beginning of the season. Now, speaking of Caleb Williams, a lot of good quarterback matchups, a lot of good young quarterback matchups for C.J. Stroud this year. We have Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I mean, if I told you those names, you would say, oh, is that who's leading for the MVP voting for this year? No, those are all opponents the Texans are going to have to face this year. Not only that, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, a lot of good quarterback battles for the Houston Texans this year. I want to know, what is your most anticipated quarterback battle for C.J. Stroud this year? Who do you think is going to be very interesting to see those two go off? Caleb Williams is a good one. I really am interested to see Stroud versus Dak Prescott as well. Let me know what quarterback matchup you're excited to see this season. Definitely not week 3, because it's either going to be Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, and I think they both might just be cheeks this season. That's why I'm going a big Texans boom with a win in week 3. Give me the Texans 38-9 in Minnesota. Even though the Vikings stole a lot of the Texans players from last year, Blake Cashman, Jonathan Grenard, sorry you went over to the dark side. I think you picked the wrong team, though, with the Texans clobbering the Vikings in week 3. Now we go into week 4 against those pesky Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think, the Texans, they start off on a high note. They get 3 straight wins, but this might be a come-down-to-earth game for the Houston Texans. The Jaguars, they've got some fight in them. I really like what the Jags did with their defensive line. They shored up Josh Allen. They signed Eric Armstead, who the Texans really wanted. They tried to trade for him whenever they traded away Malik Collins to the 49ers. That's why I'm giving this one, sadly, to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 27-21 in H-Town. The Texans' first loss of the season, going into a really pivotal matchup in week 5. Stephon Diggs' revenge game, playing against his former team, the Buffalo Bills. And this game's going to be a little bit special as well, because this is the debut of the Texans' alternate color rush jerseys, the H-Town Blues. I had to change the logo for this one. Of course I did. And the Texans, they're not going to lose with their brand new jerseys on. 31-28. Give me the Texans going 4-1. And I mean, if you haven't seen them already, these brand new Texans H-Town jerseys are fly as hell. I absolutely love them. I was getting clowned whenever just the helmet got released, the leak of the helmet. Everybody said, these uniforms suck. Well, I think they suck. My coworkers, they don't know anything about fly-ass uniforms, because these are fresh as hell. Fresh would be my one word to describe these brand new H-Town jerseys. What's your one word to describe the new H-Town Blues? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Let me know down in the comment section. As we roll in to Week 6 against the New England Patriots, once, the team that everybody feared to face. Now it's the team everybody wants on their schedule. And the Texans, they're absolutely happy they have the Patriots on their schedule. I have the Texans clobbering New England 42-10 in Foxborough. I think this is going to be an absolute smashing by the Houston Texans in Week 6. Then we go to a very interesting matchup. Week 7. The Packers, very similar to the Texans. Not a lot of expectations last year for the Packers. Jordan Love in his first year, wasn't getting a lot of hype. And then towards the end of the year, a lot more hype. And then a lot more hype going into this next season for the Packers and Jordan Love. They beat the Cowboys last year in round 1 of the playoffs. They have a lot of expectations. I think this is going to be a really good matchup, and I think the Texans barely edge this one out against Jordan Love and the Packers in Lambeau. Give me the Texans 28-27, bringing the Texans' record so far in Week 7 to 6-1 atop the AFC. Now, we go to Week 8, our second meeting up against the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson, and it was such a shootout Week 1. I think this might be a little bit more of a defensive battle going into Week 2. They watch some tape on each other. They're like, hey, we can stop this. We can stop this. I think it's going to be a very close matchup, but I've said it before. I think not the Jags. I think the Colts are the biggest threat to the Texans in the AFC South, and I think the Colts and Texans split, so I'm giving this Week 8 matchup to the Indianapolis Colts. Both road teams win this year in this rivalry between the Colts and Texans, bringing the Texans' record to 6-2 before they get into their main slate of primetime games. First off, Week 9 at the Jets on Thursday Night Football in a spooky Halloween game for the Houston Texans. I think they're going to scare Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets and win this game 35-24, bringing their record to 7-2. I think, obviously Aaron Rodgers coming back. The Jets are a big unknown, but I think the Houston Texans could pull this one out. And this is going to be one of the games that I'm going to be live for this year. Going to have a lot more live watch parties this year on the channel, and I'm trying to do even more than what I have planned right now. But I need your help. My boss has said, hey, we have a lot of channels here at Chat Sports Texans today. It's one of the newer channels. So I'm trying to get the sub numbers up. I'm trying to prove to the bosses, hey, Texans need more live watch parties. I want to go live for every single game at one point during a season. I don't know if that'll happen this year, but I know if I can prove to my bosses that Texans fans are here, they represent, and then I can get more subs, that means more watch parties. Help me get to 15,000 subscribers right now by going to youtube.com/TexansTV or going down and hitting that sub button. Week 10, the next primetime game for the Houston Texans, a Sunday Night Football game where the Texans are going to be wearing their Battle Reds. And I hate doing this because I absolutely love the Battle Reds, but the Lions are a really good matchup. There's a reason why they almost made it to the Super Bowl last season. I have the Texans losing to the Lions in a close matchup on Sunday Night Football, 28-23. The Texans go down before they have to go up to I-45 into Arlington, up against the Cowboys in Jerry World on Monday Night Football. They lost against the Lions on Sunday Night Football. Then I have them bouncing back this very next week, beating the Cowboys 35-20 in Jerry World, proving once again the Texans are the best football team in the great state of Texas. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas, and we're going to whoop that Cowboy ass in Week 11. Going on to Week 12, another poser, the Tennessee Titans. This time, we are playing them at home, and the Titans, maybe I'm just not putting enough respect on the Titans. Maybe it's just because me and Hannah McNair both hate those folks up in Tennessee, but I have the Texans absolutely smashing the banana peel eating Titans and Will Levis 31-14 in Week 12 to bring their record to 9-3. Next up, another AFC South division foe in the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 13. This time they're playing in Jacksonville, and I think the Texans, they're going to go ahead and win this one. They lost the early matchup against the Jags in Week 4. They get their revenge in Week 13, winning in Jacksonville 31-18. I mean, it was a clobbering last year in Jacksonville. I think it could be a similar instance this year where the road teams win in these AFC South matchups. Then Week 14, a bye. I think a perfect placement for the Texans bye because you have a lot of tough primetime games, And then you'll have a bye week to regroup because these next 3 games are going to be an absolute gauntlet. Week 15 against the Miami Dolphins. You'll have a bye week to prepare for all that speed down in the 305. I don't think it's enough, though. I think the one weakness that this Texans have is speed on the back end in the secondary, and that is the best attribute that the Dolphins have. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair because I don't know if the Dolphins' defense can stop a cold this year. So give me the Dolphins 45-38 in this Week 15 matchup, bringing the Texans' record to 10-4. And then maybe the most pivotal game of the entire season for the Houston Texans, if they maybe want to get that number 1 seed in the AFC. Week 16, up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they win? Will they lose? They'll do neither. You're going to hate me for this. I'm predicting a tie. 28-28, Texans, Chiefs. Give me a tie, Week 16, the Saturday matchup. I know, throw the tomatoes at me right now in the comment section. I know what you're going to say. You predicted a tie? What a poser. Yes, predicting a tie. Texans, Chiefs. There's always a tie in a year. Why not the Texans? Giving them a record of 10-4-1. Going in on a short week into Week 17, a rematch of the divisional round last year for the Texans, facing the Ravens on Christmas. I believe the Texans are going to be wearing their battle reds on this one as well. You can watch it on Netflix or here on the channel if you hit that subscribe button. This one I have the Texans getting their revenge. 17 for the Ravens, 23 for the Texans. Texans pull this one out, make all the kids in Houston happy on Christmas, opening up those presents from Santa, and they get another one from jolly old C.J. Stroud, giving them a win up against the Baltimore Ravens, bringing their record to 11-4-1. And then they finished the year, Week 18, at Tennessee against the Titans. And like I said, I'm not putting any respect on the Titans this year. Give me that dub as well, 33-20. Maybe a weird score because last week of the season, I know it's going to be something weird. It's always something weird last week of the season. Give me the Texans 33-20, giving my final score prediction for the Houston Texans 12-4-1, either the 1 seed or the 2 seed in the AFC. That's what I think the Texans will get with a record of 12-4-1. But I've given all my predictions. I've told you my reasonings. Now I want to hear from you folks at home. Predict the Texans' record this season. Look into that crystal ball of yours. Let me know. Will the Texans be the number 1 seed or will they miss the playoffs? What say you? Go down in the comment section and let me know. And if you haven't already, maybe go yell at me on Twitter for predicting a tie. You can do that at Jeremy Chuggs on Twitter. You can DM me, hit me up. Let me know what you have to say. And as I said earlier, I want to do as many watch parties on this channel as I can. The only way I can do that is if you go down and hit that sub button. So go down, hit that sub button, go to youtube.com/TexansTV for free daily Texans videos on the #1 Texans channel on YouTube. That is Texans Today.